morning, good people. It is Friday, October the 15th, 2021. This is Wake Up with Ray G, here presented by Pt2. Matt Bruning, how you doing this morning, people? Good morning, Matt. Good morning, everybody watching on YouTube, everybody checking us out on Twitter. Top Dog, happy Friday, baby. Happy Friday. We made it. We made it. Our eyes did not bleed out from the offensive performance of the Philadelphia Eagles last night. Made it to Friday. Jay, how are you doing this morning, my friend?
I am tired. I am hot. I was up till 1:30 last night, not because I wanted to be, but because I had to be. I had to let all my emotions out. I watched a Thursday night football game that was supposed to be good, and it kind of sucked. I watched Dodgers versus Giants, which was supposed to be really good, and it kind of sucked. So it was a disappointing evening, but I'm here. I'm excited. It's Friday. Let's get into the show, baby.
Yeah, man. Let's get into the show. Let's a little bit of quick news, but we got a lot of games to cover. We have to recap last night. I've got a lot of thoughts about the game last night, Eagles versus Tampa Bay, and we'll get into that after we drop the morning run.
Wake up! This is the morning run.
All right, so quick news before we get into the Thursday night football game. LeVar Ball continues to will his boys into existence, and the middle son, LiAngelo Ball, has signed a contract with the Charlotte Hornets. Surprise, surprise, the team where the reigning MVP, Rookie of the Year, LaMelo Ball, plays for. So LiAngelo will be playing with the Charlotte Hornets. Is that the G League? Will he be on the G League team? How's that work out, Jay?
We haven't announced. It hasn't been fully announced yet, but I expect it to be with the G League team. You know, we heard reports saying that he was going to be signing with the G League team. So I'm expecting to be the G League team. I don't expect him to make the opening day roster, but I guess you never know. Maybe he's the 15th man and he plays 2 minutes a game. You never know.
Never know. We also had some news out of Chicago. The Chicago Bears co-starting running back, Damian Williams, was placed on the COVID list, so he's out this Sunday, which means the rookie Khalil Herbert out of Virginia Tech. And I saw some chatter on the Twitter. I'm just going to say it here live. There were some people who were saying that nobody on earth said that Khalil Herbert would be worth a damn, and Matt Bruning was all over Khalil Herbert from the jump. So of all the people that I know, he was definitely on board with the Khalil Herbert pick, with the Khalil Herbert opportunity. And, I mean, I went and picked up Khalil Herbert 2 weeks ago in the Scott Fish Bowl before all this stuff happened with Damian Williams because I just preferred the cheaper option. And he looks like he's going to start this Sunday for the Bears. He played very well last week. I think 18 carries, 75 yards. He's plus 220 on FanDuel to score a touchdown in that matchup, and I think that's a really good bet. Khalil Herbert looked good. I don't know if it's the 24 and I'm being lazy, but he kind of reminds me of Jordan Howard. He reminds me of a little juiced up version of Jordan Howard. So I'm excited to see what Khalil Herbert can do with this opportunity. I do think this is a chance for him to maybe seize that RB2 role in Chicago behind David Montgomery and form a nice little 1-2 tandem with Monty when he's back healthy. So go check your waiver wires for Khalil Herbert. He's going to have a big game. I think he's going to have a lot of opportunity to show what he has, and it already looks like Matt Nagy has trust in him, giving him 18 carries in his first extended opportunity in the NFL. Also, the Giants, they lost the series to the Dodgers last night. Jay, you have the final call was effing horrible. So can you tell us about the expletives that you used to describe what happened last night?
So basically what happened was it was the last game, final of the series, best two teams in the majors, most wins, tied 2-2, game 5, 9th inning, 2 outs, 2-1 ball game. The Dodgers took the lead in the 9th, and it was an 0-2 count. They brought in their starting pitcher to close the game out, Max Scherzer, who's going to win most likely to win the Cy Young in the NL. So, yes, Max Scherzer is great. But what ended up happening was it was 0-2 count. I believe he threw a slider. Wilmer Flores offered at it, or so they say. So this is a picture of the check swing. It was a check swing. Everyone on Twitter, everyone out there says it's a check swing, but they appealed to the umpire at first base, and he's like, he went, game over, it's done. It's a wrap. Like, that's how the series ended. The series ended because one umpire decided to ring up this guy on an 0-2 count, which for people who don't really understand, like, you can compare it to football, you can compare it to basketball. There is not really anything like this in sports. for the umpire to have this much power to literally end the game. He basically took the ball in his hand and threw it into the stands and said the game is over. Like, that is essentially what happened. It's not like it was a full count and he had to make a choice. He could have easily let a ball go by. It would have been a 1-2 count, still favorable for the pitcher. There's just no reason to end a game like this, and that's why it was so frustrating.
Oh,
I saw this tweet on Twitter last night. I've always enjoyed the check swing appeal to the umpire. Well, Bill's 90 feet away. Let's see what he effing thinks about this, because that's truly what it feels like. It's like, this dude is so far away. He's not anywhere near the play. Yes, he has a better view of the swing plane and the plate and all this stuff, but it's like, really? This is how you're going to end a game? This is how you're going to end the series? The first time these two teams have ever played in the playoffs before, and this is how it ends. Yeah, it's not that I think that the Dodgers would have not lost the series or lost the game. There was a runner on first base, so Wilmer Flores had every opportunity to at least tie or win this ball game for the Giants. It was just so deflating because the game was so good. They went up 1-0 in the 6th. Dodgers answered with a home run in the bottom of the 6th. Then they went up in the 9th. Giants got someone on base in the 9th, and then this is how it ends. It's just, for two teams that are so talented, so good, battling it out all year in their division, it's just a terrible way to end a series. And you just look at it and you're like, why do umpires, referees have so much power to literally end the game? And it was a terrible call. Like, it doesn't matter who you ask about it. He checked his swing. He did not offer at that pitch. And in a 0-2 count, it makes no sense to ring him up and end the game for him. The game should be decided on the field, and it wasn't. It was decided by that umpire.
Man, that looks brutal. And I actually, this morning, I saw that swing. I didn't know how that was how the game ended. I didn't know that's how the game ended.
Yeah.
But I saw that, and I was just like, damn, that looks like a check swing. It doesn't look like he offered at that pitch. That's a brutal way to end the game. So, yeah, I agree with you. You label that Giants, effed. That seems like just let the dude, and they're at home. Like, he got that call. They were at home. And
there was actually another call in that series with the same umpire calling a non-swing on a much more egregious check swing.
And this isn't this isn't like the 50th game of the season where it really doesn't matter and they got it wrong and this was like to end the series. Like, these players played 162 games to get to this point for a chance to go to the World Series, and you literally, like, not saying that they would have won, right? But he still had an opportunity, man. It
wasn't decided on the field of play, which is the most annoying part, right? Even if you ground it out, who cares? Max Scherzer, still a great pitcher, earned it. The Dodgers still earned it. But this way, it's just like, it gives a sour taste in your mouth because the Giants deserved a fair shot to at least try to win the game, and they didn't really get that at the end.
That's brutal, man. That is brutal. I agree with you. That's just not how a game should end. Now, speaking of a game ending, the Monday Night Football game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 28, the Philadelphia Eagles 22. Tampa Bay 5-1 on the season. Philly falls to 2-4, and they're 0-3 at home. So let's just keep that in mind. 0-3 at home. The first half, Tampa Bay was clicking, right? Tampa Bay 14 points in the first quarter, 7 points in the second quarter. They're up 21-7 going into halftime. And in the second half, they only scored 7 points. They only scored 7 points in the second half. Tom Brady played, I'd say, okay. He didn't. It's one of those things, like, coming off a Sunday, and we talked about this. Is Tampa Bay just going to come in here, get the dub, take care of business, take their 10 days rest, get Gronk more healthy, rest up their injuries, get Tom Brady's thumb, rested up, and just get out of there? And essentially, that's pretty much what they did. I know this box score is 6 points, which we told you we didn't really like the spread, right? And if you would have teased this and took Philadelphia, you would have cashed out on that. But Tom Brady, 34 for 42, 297 yards, 2 touchdowns. He got those 2 touchdowns early. I thought we were locked in, Jay, for over 2.5 touchdowns. I was like, oh, we got this. And then he didn't throw anymore. It was Leonard Fournette. It was Leonard Fournette. He was the star of the show. 28 touches, 127 yards, 2 touchdowns, blast from the pass. Leonard Fournette, just looking like the Leonard Fournette when he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I'm going to be honest, though. Every time Ronald Jones touched the ball, you can tell he's got more juice than Fournette. Like, you can tell. There's no denying that he's got more juice than Fournette, but they don't trust him. He can't hold on to the ball. He can't catch anything. So outside of just being a one-dimensional kind of, bursty running back, he just does not have the complete package that Fournette has. He had 22 carries, 81 yards, so he did smash the over on 61.5 yards that we talked about. He also added 6 receptions for 46 yards. I mean, listen, offensively, there are no questions. I have 0 questions about Tampa Bay. No Gronkowski, O.J. Howard steps up. Cameron Brate steps up. Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Take your pick, man. Take your pick. Antonio Brown went off in this matchup as well, Jay. AB, 13 targets, 9 receptions, 93 yards, and a touchdown. My question to you is Antonio Brown playing like a Pro Bowler this season in the NFC?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think now how many Pro Bowlers get in so I can kind of rank them as far as I'm concerned.
I think it's 4. It's 4 wide receivers.
Because I think Coop would probably be in there.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp.
I could see a situation where maybe – I was thinking Amari Cooper, but yeah, Cooper Kupp for sure.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp is in.
Metcalf or Lockett maybe. I'm trying to think of all the names. Hopkins probably not right now. Then you have –
You've got Jefferson. You know what? You got Jefferson
Jefferson's
still.
Close. Yeah, he's playing well. I think, and then DJ Moore is another guy who's playing really well as well. I'm trying to think if there's anybody we're missing here. It's close, man. It's close. Like, I think there's a really good shot. Adams. Oh, yeah, Hunter. Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
I almost forgot about Devontae Adams.
Oh, God, yeah. Devontae Adams, yes.
But I'd say he's on the cusp for sure. He could be that 4th, potentially replacement level guy. And if he keeps playing this well,
he's 11th in the league in receiving yards, 14th in receptions, tied for 7th in touchdowns. I'm just saying, he's playing a Pro Bowl. He's playing at a Pro Bowl caliber this season. I mean, he's. I think it's Adams, Jefferson. Adams and Jefferson to me are locked in the NFC, in my opinion.
Debo maybe. That's a good point, Stone. Debo is playing really well too. I don't know if he can keep
Samuel.
it up.
Yeah,
but he's probably a front runner right now.
The point is, he's in the conversation, and this is a player who literally was on his couch for about a year and a half. So to see Antonio Brown, and he does not look like he's lost a step, man. Again, I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. He's the fastest player in NFL history to hit like 900 receptions, and he didn't play a year and a half of football, man. Like, that's just how great Antonio Brown is. He's a great wide receiver, even at 33 years old. I mean, he just doesn't show any signs of wear and tear, any signs of slowing down. We talked about O.J. Howard. I wonder if they're getting O.J. Howard. I wonder. At first, I was like, are they trying to prep O.J. Howard to get traded? But he looked good, man. He looked good. I don't know. When Gronk is back, does Gronk just step back into his touchdown machine role, or are they trying to showcase O.J. Howard?
I think it's going to be back to Gronk, man.
You think so?
I think it has to be because Gronk's just too good. Connection with Brady. And I think OJ, again, he'll be on the field because he's going to block. But I think if he is getting the ball a little bit more, I wouldn't be shocked because Brate hasn't done a whole lot. Like, a lot of people have been touting Brate, especially in this game. I think that, we saw it was more OJ. And maybe it'll just be more OJ and Gronk going forward and kind of none of Brate because he's not so much a blocker.
The only issue I have with this, Stone, is Cooper Kupp has to be in here. So right now, I'd say AB is on the outside looking in, but if this plays out, then 2 of these guys won't participate, and then you'll have 2 alternates, and then Antonio Brown would probably be like the first alternate. But Cooper Kupp is locked in with Devontae Adams at this point for me, and then you still have CeeDee Lamb with Dallas. Like, you just there's some big names in the NFC. Bruning said if AB hadn't missed almost 2 years, I think he'd be a lock in discussion as one of the greatest wide receivers ever to play, hands down. Hands down. There's no, say what you want. I don't care about, let me not say that. He had some off the field issues that were a little concerning, right? Like, let's not diminish that. But I don't care about the beef with Juju. I don't care about that stuff, right? On the field, I still think he is one of the greatest wide receivers ever to play football. I do. I think he's a top 10 wide receiver ever to lace him up. Top 10, and I think there's a very strong case to even be a little bit higher than that. AB should be a first ballot lock Hall of Famer, and he probably still has another good 2-3 years left in him, especially as long as he's tethered to Tom Brady. So, AB, fantastic game. Godwin and Evans, they just, Godwin came out. I think he had 3 receptions in the first quarter, and then like it just spread it out. Tom Brady just spreads it out, man. Like his Julian Edelman is Antonio Brown. That's the guy he trusts. That's the guy he's looking to often. Everybody else just gets in where they fit in, and that's the problem with Tampa Bay pass catchers. Like it's really flipping a coin as to who's going to be the other guy opposite Antonio Brown, and we just don't know. Because for a minute, Mike Evans got that deep target early in the game, and you're thinking this is going to be a Mike Evans game, and then it was Chris Godwin, and then all of a sudden it's Antonio Brown getting everything, and O.J. Howard getting everything, and Leonard Fournette with 6 receptions. So this is one where, I didn't like Chris Godwin's lines. I didn't like it, man. He was at 5.5 receptions. He ends up with 5. He was at like 50-something yards. He ends up with 43. He converted all 5 of his targets, 100% catch rate, but it's just, it's a good football team. And Tom Brady does not need to just go to a guy. He's good at surveying the field and finding who's open. And watching these 2 quarterbacks play last night, listen, Tom Brady's got 20 years in the NFL on Jalen Hurts, okay? So he's seen everything from every team, every defense. He's seen it all. But just his ability to go through his reads, and if it's not there, check it down. If it is there, take a shot. If it is there, put it on the money. And that's one of the things that, right now, when we're looking at Philadelphia, and Hunter said earlier in the chat, he said Hurts ain't the one. Here's my argument with this. I know it's a what have you done for me lately type world, right? I understand that. But let's not forget that Josh Allen, through his first 12 NFL games, was dreadful. 52% completion percentage, 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Josh Allen in his rookie season threw for under 100 yards. 1, 2, 3 games in that season, was inactive for 4 games, had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 multiple interception games, 5 games where he threw two or more interceptions, and he only had 1 game during his rookie season, 2 games during his rookie season where he threw for over 2 touchdowns. That came in Week 12 versus the Miami Dolphins in a loss, and then the final game of the season, coincidentally, versus the Miami Dolphins, which resulted in a win where he had 3 touchdowns. He didn't have any games over 300 yards during his rookie season, and he only had 1 game over 240 yards during his rookie season. So let's not forget that there was a 2-year stretch where everybody in the world thought Josh Allen was a bust. Everybody thought he was a bust, and then he breaks out in his 3rd season. The difference between the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles is the Bills committed to Josh Allen despite his struggles. This was Jalen Hurts' 10th career start in the NFL with 2 different coaching regimes. And let's be honest, during his rookie season, he started the final 4 games in which that team was decimated by injury. It was the final 4 games of the season. Jalen Hurts did not play well. He did not play well last night. When you complete half of your passes for 115 yards, he was only sacked twice, but he didn't play well. Nick Sirianni is not a good play caller. I mean, that offense is more predictable than the Jason Garrett-led Dallas Cowboys offense. I mean, literally, I don't even want to call it an RPO. It's like zone read, 1 read, and then he's rolling out to the right every single time. Like, I wanted to tweet it out last night. Like, anytime there's any kind of trouble in the pocket, he's rolling out right. The one time he rolled out left, because it's difficult for a right-handed quarterback to roll left and throw the ball. He runs away from Shaq Barrett, picks up like 6 or 7 yards. But outside of that, there was a tweet that I took a picture of, and I want to read Jalen Hurts' pass distribution last night. And this is 100% on the offensive coordinator and the people calling plays. At the line of scrimmage, he had 5 passes. He was 5 for 5 for passes at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage, 5 of 5 for 10 yards. Anywhere from the line of scrimmage to 10 yards, he had 4 passes, was 2 for 4 for 11 yards. 10 to 20-yard passes, he was 1 for 2 for 16 yards, and then deep passes between 20 and 30 yards. He had 3 completions. On 6 attempts. Like, There's nothing in the center of the field, like nothing in the middle of the field. It's either to the right sideline. Majority of his passes come to the right sideline. Nothing on the left-hand side of the field that it was completed. He completed 5 passes on the left-hand quadrant of the field, the left third of the field, for a grand total of 10 yards and an interception. And then down the middle, he attempted 1 pass, completed it for 25 yards, nothing else in the middle of the field. It's all on the right-hand side of the field, left-hand side of the field. Majority of it is deep or at or behind the line of scrimmage. The play calling is absolutely atrocious. Jalen Hurts is not playing well. Nick Sirianni isn't doing him any favors. They've got 2 talented running backs. Miles Sanders really doesn't get the ball into the third, fourth quarter. He finishes with 9 rushing attempts. Jalen Hurts has 10 carries. The wide receivers, I mean, there are so many times where I'm just watching. Rager was open a couple of times. One of the balls was underthrown. The other one, he's getting interfered with. He had 90 yards of penalties on 2 pass plays. Devonta Smith, he just doesn't even look there. Quez Watkins gets his looks early, and then he jumps and mistimes a pass that was picked off. That was on Quez. It's just this offense is atrocious. And yesterday I said I wouldn't take Kenny Gainwell. I didn't like the Miles Sanders receiving props. Like, I just don't trust this offense, man. But my big thing to everybody out there saying that Jalen Hurts ain't it, like, again, we just did this with Josh Allen, and now Josh Allen, people are saying, is the MVP of the NFL. He is the front runner for the MVP award, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, just got paid $1 bajillion to be a franchise quarterback. But the first 2 years of Josh Allen's career, he was absolutely dreadful. For 2 seasons, he was dreadful, viewed as a bust. So let's pump the brakes on the Jalen Hurts ain't it equation, because if you watch the game, literally no type of run. I get it. Tampa Bay is impenetrable. You can't run up the middle, which Philly was trying to do. I have no clue why. Get creative in the run design. Like, get creative. Do something different. Get your running backs in space. Run some outside zones. Run some counters. Do something. Help out the quarterback who's only started 9 career games going into last night. So, I mean, I'm just curious as to where you're at on this situation. It's just, I saw Emory Hunt tweet out last night. It's amazing which quarterbacks are judged on a throw-by-throw basis, which ones are judged on a game-by-game basis, and which ones are judged by their body of work over multiple seasons. And it seems like Jalen Hurts is truly graded on a game-by-game, pass-by-pass basis. And I just think it's a little unfair. I think it's a little unrealistic. I think it's a little unfair, especially for a quarterback coming out of Oklahoma. We knew that there were some development issues that he needed to grow in. We knew this coming in. So for people thinking that he should be out there throwing, for 320 and 3 with this offense, how? Like, how? The offense is uninspiring. It's uncreative. They're not helping him out. And it was his 10th career start. So, it was not a good performance, but give credit. Every game Philly is in it. They're there. Every game they've been there. It's just, how do they get over the top? That's the difference between a good team. That's the difference between great teams and good teams and bad teams, figuring out ways to win, overcoming situations and adversity. But I'm not going to call Jalen Hurts a bust after 10 career starts, man.
Yeah, Ray, I think you touched on a lot of good points there. The biggest one I think that you clarified, Jalen Hurts did not have a good game. And we talked about it yesterday and on Wednesday as well. Like, he's going to struggle in a game against a great pass rush. And you saw it probably on at least a third of his dropbacks. He had to run away out of necessity from Shaq Barrett, from Jason Pierre-Paul on some of these plays. So I'm not going to put it all on him, but even still, to complete, 12 of 26, it's not great, still under 50%. And my biggest gripe with the whole situation, and to your point, I don't know if it's play calling, I don't know if it's Jalen, but he didn't really look Devonta Smith's way that often. And he was open. He was open plenty of times. He was beating his defender, but he just wasn't looking his way. And I was just like, this is your guy. Like, this is your guy from college. This is your guy now in the NFL. This is your top draft pick. Why is it that 3 weeks in a row, Devonta Smith is getting targeted a lot, gaining a lot of yards, scoring touchdowns, but this week he's up against Richard Sherman, cooks him, makes him basically tear his hamstring out of the game in the first quarter. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, well, we're not going to go to that guy. We're not going to target him the ball.
But that's the play design.
I don't know who to
there's no
pin
identity.
it on.
there's no identity. You pin it on. Listen, you pin it on the quarterback, but you also equally blame the offensive coordinator. Like, I am not going to say that it's all somebody else's fault, right? Jalen Hurts has to have the confidence to sit. There were a couple of plays last night where, watching the game, it truly looked like he said, I'm going to sit in the pocket no matter what and throw the ball. And he didn't bail when the first read wasn't there. I don't know if the pass was complete or not, but I vividly remember him like sitting in the pocket. And I'm like, yes, sit in the pocket, scan the field. So I'm not taking all blame away from Jalen Hurts, but Jesus, the play calling is literally it's bad, man. I mean, it's it's so predictable. They've got the receivers spread all the way out.
That one play, yeah.
Like, and they continue to do it, and I'm just like, your quarterback is struggling with accuracy. I don't even know if they ran any kind of quick smoke screens at all. Like, just tell the receiver to turn around and just catch it and do something after the catch. Just get him some easy wins. Devonta Smith on a crossing route. Quez Watkins on a crossing route. The play that they went for it, I believe, on 4th down, or maybe it was a 3rd down play, where Jalen Reagor, it looked like he dropped it, but his arm was hooked. It was like a 3-yard turnaround. Devonta Smith was one-on-one coverage with number 30 open on the other side of the field. He runs a slant, and he's wide open. And instead of even looking that direction, I mean, there were 3 defenders around Reagor, 3 of them, and he fit the ball in there, but Smith was wide-ass open on the other side of the field, and he didn't even look. I don't know if he trusts the offense. Who is Nick? Where did Nick Sirianni come from? Like, honestly. No,
I think,
where did he come from?
Was he one of Frank Wright's disciples?
I don't know where.
I'm honestly not sure where he came from.
Who did he call plays for? Was he with the Chargers?
Yeah, it's funny you remember that play, because I remember watching that too, and I was like, why did he even? Because like Jalen kind of threw it into like double coverage, triple coverage. Reagor had no separation. He was kind of being hooked on the back end. It's just like, I just can't make any sense.
Okay, yeah, he was the Colts offensive coordinator from 2018 to 2020.
Okay.
He looks inept. He looks, and it seems like I was messaging with my boy Scott Connor last night. It seems like they're. Here's what I'm going to tell Philly fans, because I know Philly fans are clamoring. We want a new quarterback. Get Hurts out of there. Sam Howell, Malik Willis, they will have the same issues. I promise you. If this offense remains this way, they will have the same damn problems. The same problems as Jalen Hurts is having right now. They just look bad, man. The offensive line is not good, but I don't know what to say, man. This was an uninspiring performance from the Philadelphia Eagles, when, if you want to be honest, this was a winnable matchup for them. I mean, this was a game they could have stole, or at least pushed Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay did not play great. Leonard Fournette was fantastic. Tom Brady was good, but they didn't just go out there and boat race them like they did the Miami Dolphins. And I want to give Philadelphia's defense a ton of credit for legitimately they shut down the passing attack. Antonio Brown got his, took 13 targets. AB got his, but Mike Evans didn't kill him. Chris Godwin didn't kill him. Antonio Brown got his, and we knew somebody was going to do it from the passing attack, but they shut down 2 of the big 3 at the wide receiver, shut them down. And then Leonard Fournette did his thing on the ground, but it took 22 carries for him to get 81 yards. He got a lot of yardage off of checkdowns, which means the defensive backs were doing their job. I don't know, man. I don't know. All I know is I am not going to put all of the blame onto Jalen Hurts' shoulders. I'm not going to do that. This was his 10th career start, and once again, I can go back through a litany of quarterbacks who have not played well, and if you're panicked on Jalen Hurts right now, you should have that same type of energy for Zach Wilson, that same type of energy for some of these rookie quarterbacks who haven't played well to start their career either. This was his 10th game, and, to Hunter's point, Hunter says, he thinks that, this supporting cast this season is better than Josh Allen's in his rookie season. I mean, maybe the receivers and like the offensive line stinks. That O-line is terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
bad.
know. It just in my opinion, this offense is just not good. They have no identity. They don't. This is how bad it is for a team when your fan base cheers hysterically because they ran the ball and Miles Sanders picked up 4 yards. I think it was like in the second quarter, and they're just standing up clapping. The announcers are like, the fans are cheering from a 4-yard run. That tells you how bad it is. And I wouldn't be shocked, Jay, if the scapegoat for this is Jalen Hurts, and I wouldn't be shocked if
Yeah.
in a couple of weeks we see Gardner Minshew. I just wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if they did it. I would not be shocked if Nick Sirianni pulled the plug and said we need a spark. No, we need a spark from you as the play caller. Why don't you relinquish duties of play calling and focus on getting the rest of your team, your offensive line, ready to play better. But I wouldn't even be shocked if they pulled Hurts at this point. Just seems like the kid is being set up to fail. But that was the Thursday night football game. We've got a lot of other games to get to today. One of the games that we didn't touch on yesterday that Jay said we have to save was the Kansas City Chiefs and the Washington football team. So let's go ahead and beat the rush.
Wake up! This is Beat the Rush.
Get out of the way, jackass!
All right, so Kansas City versus Washington. The football team is they're underdogs, 6.5 to Kansas City. The football team, they've allowed the second most passing touchdowns this season, and they get Patrick Mahomes this Sunday. Jay, where you at with this matchup right here? Chiefs, football team, what lines do you like? Is Tyreek going to play? No Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Is it going to be a Kelsey game? What are we doing in this matchup?
I just want to be smashing overs in this game all game long. Patrick Mahomes, 315 pass yards. Give me the over on that. Passing touchdowns at 2.5. Give me the over on that. Travis Kelsey, 87.5 receiving yards, 6.5 receptions. Give me the over on that. We don't have lines for Tyreek Hill right now, but I'd probably take the over for him too. No Clyde. Honestly, I think it's just going to funnel more opportunities to the passing game. And with that being said, man, Washington, again, allowing the 6th most yards in the NFL. Chiefs allowing the 2nd most yards in the NFL. When you think about a team who's allowing the most passing touchdowns in the league and they're playing arguably the league's best quarterback, especially when it comes to the passing game, it is going to be extremely difficult for the football team to do anything against Patrick Mahomes. I believe they're bottom 5 or bottom 6 in sacks, so they're not even getting a lot of pressure. Offensive line for the Chiefs is playing great so far, especially in the running game. If they do choose to run, they're playing great in the running game. But then on top of that, you have Taylor Heinicke on the other side. Taylor Heinicke's been playing surprisingly well. They've been able to put up points. They put up 29 points last week against the Saints. So we'll see what happens. But honestly, like, the Washington football team is a lot better than I thought they'd be. But one guy I'm going after because, again, this Chiefs defense is so bad is Antonio Gibson. We talked about him briefly yesterday because on Prize Picks, his over-under was 60.5 rushing yards. Today, I checked it again this morning. It's 69.5 rushing yards. And that's the official line from the sports book. So I hope you took that yesterday, Ray.
I did.
Because it's gone up significantly since. So you're getting some juice there. And I'll take a little bit of credit for that, but not too much credit.
I got him locked in at 60.5. I got him locked in at 60.5.
Yeah, so the Chiefs are terrible against the run. I think they're 3rd worst as far as rushing yards per game, and they're like 4th worst in yards per carry. Antonio Gibson can easily hit 70 yards. On top of this, these are the 2 worst teams as far as allowing points in the NFL. They've allowed 29 points or more every single game this season. The over-under on this game is only 55.5. I don't know how. It should be way higher than that. I mean, it can't get that much higher because over-unders usually only stretch to about 58 on the super high end. So I don't think, it's not going to get much higher than that. But I would be taking the over in this game. This game could be a 40-40 shootout. You want Taylor Heinicke in your lineups. You want Antonio Gibson. You want Terry McLaurin over under 80.5 receiving yards. I'm taking the over. 6.5 receptions. I'm taking the over.
I think a sneaky play in here, and Matt Bruning just hit on it, is Ricky Seals-Jones over 3.5 receptions. He had 9 targets, 5 receptions, 41 yards last week. He's a big athletic target. And outside of Terry McLaurin and J.D. McKissick, they don't really have another wide receiver of consequence to get the ball to. I love Ricky Seals-Jones versus these Kansas City Chiefs linebackers. He's big. He's athletic. Former highly touted high school recruit. I would take the over on the receptions. I like him to hit 4 receptions. Should be able to get 34.5 yards, but I really love the reception total on Ricky Seals-Jones.
Yeah, don't discount Curtis Samuel now. It's second game back, so he's gonna be more involved in the offense. He looks good. I like me some Curtis Samuel, so let's not go too crazy. But this game is going to be super highly scoring. If you're playing DFS, you make sure you get these guys in your lineups because it's going to be a shootout. If it's not, I'll honestly just give up on all of these calls because every game I call to be a shootout is not a shootout. But this game, there's going to be no defense in this game. They're just two of the worst defenses in the NFL. Two offenses that are just scoring points at will. I just don't know how it's going to end, but it's probably going to be the Chiefs covering, and they're probably going to put up 50 as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how the hell they're going to be stopped in this game because the football team just can't do anything. They can't stop anybody. They're allowing so many passing yards. The running game is no good. The pass rush isn't getting home. I'm just all in on the overs. I don't think there's a single under I would take in this game.
You can get Kelsey under over under receiving yards at 83.5 on Prize Picks, but his reception total is higher. It's 7, so he's got to get 8 receptions on Prize Picks, whereas, Sportsbooks, you can get it at 6.5. I'm with you. I like Antonio Gibson over. I love Travis Kelce over his receiving yards. I am going to hammer 83.5 receiving yards. They will not be able to cover him with those linebackers in Washington. And I once again, I'm staying in the Mahomes quarterback rushing flame. 17.5 rushing yards for Patrick Mahomes. You've got, a ferocious pass rush with those 4 defensive linemen, Chase Young. I think there are going to be some opportunities for them to get upfield and Patrick Mahomes to sneak out and pick up rushing yards. I mean, it's been tried and true. Patrick Mahomes is a mobile quarterback, and he's going to pick up those rushing yards. So I love Patrick Mahomes as one of my QB rushing locks of the week. Let's lock it in, 17.5 rushing yards for Patrick Mahomes. I'm taking the over, baby. Taking the over. We've got Minnesota versus Carolina this week. I'm not sure if Dalvin Cook is playing or not. Are there a lot of props that just haven't been put up to this point in time? The Vikings have been one of the more disappointing teams in the NFL this season. Justin Jefferson is doing his thing, but outside of that, they have been terrible. The Panthers are coming off of a very bad loss to Philadelphia last week, in which Sam Darnold threw 3 interceptions. They just could not get anything clicking, and we saw Joe Brady reference the turnover, saying that is not winning football. We cannot win doing stuff like that. The Panthers are still fantastic on the defensive side of the ball. They've allowed the fewest passing yards in the NFL this season at 808 yards, and the Vikings are in the bottom third in the league in terms of allowing pressure, QB hurries, QB hits. So the Panthers should be able to tee off against Kirk Cousins, and they are also tied for third in sacks. So this does not bode well for Kirk Cousins. This does not bode well for the passing attack outside of Justin Jefferson, in my opinion. But this is a tough matchup, man. And you've got an interesting stat on Justin Jefferson I saw you talking about on Twitter the other day, man.
Oh, you want this stat, I don't know if there's any merit to it. It's one of those stats, it's a stat without context, we'll give it, right? And I just looked it up again because it's been updated since his game this week at home. But his splits indoor and outdoor. For some reason, games are where they are. There's nothing we can control.
Just lay it on us. Just lay it on us.
But Justin Jefferson indoors averages 8 targets, 6 receptions, 101 yards, and 0.67 touchdowns. When he plays outdoors, he averages 6.5 targets, 4 receptions, 56 yards, and has never scored a touchdown.
Wow.
In 6 games outdoors, he has yet to score a touchdown. This game is in Carolina, so the weather, for Justin Jefferson, the boy from the South, he likes the heat. We hear that from time to time about guys. So it should be fine playing in South Carolina and Carolina. They should be good. But I don't know, man. I'm just like, oh, yeah, it is in North Carolina. But I'm just like, what do I want to believe? Do I want to believe in the talent of Justin Jefferson? Playing in a tough matchup, by the way. It's not like the Carolina Panthers are a great matchup. And his splits are terrible outdoors. So if they're bad again today, it's like, well, maybe this is becoming a bit of a trend, and you definitely don't want to play him in Chicago. Definitely don't want to play him in Green Bay. But you got to
play him everywhere. It's Justin Jefferson. Like, if you don't want to bet the prop, fantasy wise, you got to play him. Like, that's not even consideration for me to bench Justin Jefferson. If you've got the stones to bench Justin Jefferson, then you've got a damn good team. I can't do it. You've got to roll with Jefferson. But again, Madison, I'll be paying attention to the Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison news, like who's going to play. Is Dalvin Cook 100%? We probably literally won't know until like 10 a.m. on Sunday, so no need to do anything with that. But the Carolina Panthers, Sam Darnold, over under 256 passing yards, over under 1.5 touchdowns. And then DJ Moore. DJ Moore had kind of a down week last week, did not perform to expectations, but his over under yardage total is set at 75.5. In this matchup right here. This is the best wide receiver cornerback matchup rating that we have at FTN Fantasy. Kind of grades the wide receivers with their projected coverage, and DJ Moore is the best matchup. Do you like his receiving yard total? Receptions, 5.5. I took the over last week, and he burned me on the over, but where are you at with DJ Moore in this matchup?
I need more of DJ Moore because the Vikings are god awful. And for people who haven't watched any Vikings games, I like pain. I'll just say it like that. I like pain. And so I've been rolling with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Kirk Cousins for a couple of weeks in DFS. Sometimes it worked out, but boy, has it been painful lately. And last week I didn't go after him because I wasn't expecting much. But it's just like they are just so bad on defense. And you look at what Seattle did to them. Just tons of yards. Tyler Lockett went ballistic. And on top of this too, we do have to mention that Christian McCaffrey may not play. So we're gonna see what happens.
It's looking
McCaffrey.
like he's not. Everyone's saying that he's not. The fact that he was practicing and then it went to like no practice. That he's all the doctors are saying. I just want him to sit out. Like if you tweaked your hand, just sit the hell out. Sit out for 2-3 weeks. Just get right, man. Like. Dude, just sit out.
So I think to your point, if he doesn't play, we're not going to see as much Chuba Hubbard as we saw last week. Last week was kind of an aberration. I don't think he's going to get like 24 carries again. But this week, we're going to see a lot more DJ Moore because the game should be higher scoring. I hope Kirk Cousins can do something, force them to throw the ball a little bit. Sam Darnold had a terrible game, 3 interceptions like you mentioned. So they do need to get the passing game going again, and that starts and ends with DJ Moore. We've seen that all season long. So I do expect DJ Moore to go way over in this great matchup. So I'm fully expecting him to crush this week. And I believe it's Patrick Peterson who's going to be going against, who, he's not the Patrick Peterson of old. So he should be no problem for DJ Moore to have a great game. I like the over at 75.5, and I like the reception total to get to 6 at -145.
All right. I think this is the best game of the weekend right here. The Los Angeles Chargers and the Baltimore Ravens. I am so excited for this matchup. Two of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, the high-flying Chargers offense versus just the dynamic ability of Lamar Jackson. This is going to be a tough test for Lamar Jackson. You've got to deal with Joey Bosa off the edge. He's got Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr. This could be an MVP statement type of game for Baltimore. This could be an MVP statement game for Lamar Jackson. The Chargers are what is this in rushing yards allowed? What is DFL? What is that? What does that mean on the show?
Dead effing last.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's 5.7 yards per carry. Yeah, you say DFL when you're on there. You got to keep it PG, but you still got to emphasize how terrible the Chargers defense is.
DFL.
Yeah, they're dead last.
And it's not really that close, last. Man. And then they've got to deal with Lamar Jackson, the most dangerous player in the NFL, in my opinion. A battle of 2 MVP candidates. And again, the winner could be the front runner to win MVP this year. Lamar Jackson, his props have come out, and his over-under is 240.5 passing yards, 65.5 rushing yards, over-under half an interception. Justin Herbert, over-under 293.5, 2.5 passing touchdowns. Who do you think wins this game? Right now, the Baltimore is favored by 2.5. Baltimore, they are the favorites, 2.5 over the Chargers. Do you think this is a trap bet? Because the Chargers have been money covering so far this season, haven't they? I think they're like 4-1 against the spread. I believe so. Yeah, I believe they're 4-1 against the spread. But the biggest thing is that you're playing the hard part for this one for me is both quarterbacks have been super clutch all season long. End of game, both quarterbacks have been just on fire. 4-1 against the spread. 4-1 against the spread this season.
So I do have Herbert and I do have the Chargers. When the line opened up at 4.5, I was like, so the line opened up at 4.5, I believe on Sunday, and I was like, hell no, do you not give the Chargers 4.5 points? They're going to be favored by Tuesday morning after the Baltimore Ravens play the Colts. I expected that game to be, a little bit lower scoring, not a great game from either side, a lot of defense. Turns out Lamar Jackson went nuclear for 400 yards and I believe 4 touchdowns, right? So that didn't really sway the line as much as I hoped. I hoped I could get like a full swing all the way to like +2 on the Ravens side, and I was going to hit that and try and middle it somewhere. But I do have the Chargers +4. I would still take the Chargers +2.5. I think the Chargers win this game. I have the money line as well at like +150. So I'm all in on the Chargers. I think they're probably going to win. It's going to be a tough game on the road. I don't think it's going to necessarily be as high scoring as people think, but we'll see. Like the Chargers through the air have I think they have the most 20-yard pass plays, and they're tied for the most 40-yard pass plays. We saw a lot of them last week, obviously, but they're also allowing the most rushing yards of 20-plus plays. We saw a few of those last week from Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So it's like, where does this kind of break? Because the Chargers are terrible against the run, just god-awful. So one of the guys I'm touting, and I know I wrote on the show sheet, it's disgusting, but Latavius Murray at only 41.5 yards seems like it's a beatable matchup for a player who will be running the ball quite a bit. Like I don't think that it's going to be all Lamar Jackson. They've done that before. They do that when they have to, but they don't want to do that. I think Latavius Murray can hit 41.5 yards. I believe he's only done it once this season, and it was 2 weeks ago. So it's not the best line, but I think he can do it.
I don't like it. I think I like Lamar Jackson over 65.5. I think Lamar Jackson is going to go off, like absolutely nuclear in this matchup at home. I think he's going to run early and often, force the Chargers to get confused, and I think he's going to take his shots to Hollywood Brown over the top. I think it's going to be the same type of game plan that we saw last week. You're right. This is a beatable number for Lat Murray, but I don't have the courage of conviction to bet that at all. I think Lamar Jackson is going to put on another show. I think this is going to be a really good game. And, Herbert coming into a hostile environment in Baltimore, this is a noon game, right? This is a noon game.
I believe so, yeah. It might be a 4 o'clock game.
Man, when did they look that up? I want to know when they play. I need to know what I need to base my Sunday around, because this is one that I don't want to miss. Austin Eckler, 56.5 rushing yards. Mike Williams, 72.5 receiving yards. And Keenan Allen, who seems like he's taking a back seat. It looks like he's passing the torch a little bit to Mike Williams. I don't want to go that far yet, but it seems like he's passing the torch, or at least Justin Herbert is forcing the torch to be passed to Mike Williams a little bit more. Mike might be the guy in Los Angeles, and he's younger. He's a little more explosive than Keenan Allen at this age of their career. It's going to be an interesting one. I like Hollywood Brown to prove Bart Scott wrong and continue his assault on defensive backs in the NFL. It's going to be a fantastic matchup. Jay, we've got a few minutes left. We've got Arizona versus Cleveland, Las Vegas Raiders versus the Broncos, Cowboys, Patriots, Seahawks, Pittsburgh. Let's talk about one of our guys. Let's talk Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb. I was gonna text you over the weekend. I said, dude, Nick Chubb's about to hit 25 carries. He's we've got this secret bet on the show. Will Nick Chubb ever get over 25 carries this season? And he did not. He did not get over 25 carries versus the Chargers, but he had like 160 rushing yards, and just proves why he's probably right behind Derrick Henry is tied as 1B as the best running back in the NFL. 90.5 yards versus this Arizona team, who they're allowing the 5th most rushing yards and the second highest yards per carry in the NFL right now. The Browns are leading the league in rushing with 938 yards. It's interesting because I feel like that's what Derrick Henry has by himself. They've got 7 20-plus yard runs. They've got 12 rushing touchdowns. Where are you at with Nick Chubb and the Browns in this matchup? Because I think this is a very exploitable game for Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, to be honest.
Yep. It was same script last week. Last week, we talked about the 2 running backs and how the Chargers are terrible against the run. This week, same story. They're playing the Cardinals, who are equally terrible against the run. It's just funny how these matchups just repeat over and over and over. It's like, how does the best running team in the NFL play the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Cardinals, 3 that are just absolutely abysmal against the run? Nick Chubb is going to go over 100 yards. Kareem Hunt's probably going to go over 50. Kareem Hunt had a great week last week. He was using the red zone a lot, scored 2 touchdowns. But Nick Chubb over 90 yards. Like this feels like free money. Like it really does. He's probably going to rip off another 50-yard run like he did last week. The Cardinals are just terrible against the run, just so bad. And so I think it's just going to be a heavy dose of the run all game long. I'm not sure what we're going to see out of the Cardinals. Obviously, coming off a bad game. But what I will say is I think Rondale Moore is going to have a really big game. I think he's going to be utilized heavily this game. They're going to rely on him because they haven't been doing a great job pushing the ball down the field. I think Kyler's dealing with a bit of an injury. So they're going to have to get these short passes, dump offs. I think that's going to mean a lot of Chase Edmonds, a lot of Rondale Moore. But Chase Edmonds, again, plays out of the backfield. We know that Myles Garrett and Javion Clowney, they're going to be coming all day long. Kyler Murray is going to be running for his life. But I think that Rondale Moore in the quick screen game and short passing game is going to eat. And I think I would probably take his reception prop. I didn't look what it was. It's probably around 3.5, 4.5. But I'd be taking the over because he could easily hit 5 or 6 receptions. I think it's a game script that is great for him where the quick passing game is going to be essential against a really, really good defensive line. I really like Rondale Moore. I do like Kareem Hunt, although this week I'm going in with Nick Chubb. Last week it was Kareem Hunt. But this week it's firmly Nick Chubb as the bell cow running back. And I believe he's like minus 175 to score a touchdown. I don't know if I want to go that far, but I think he probably scores in this matchup.
No lines for Rondale Moore right now. Nothing out for Rondale Moore. I want to talk about the Dallas New England game because I am a little concerned. I'm a little concerned for my Cowboys. I feel like this is a game they should easily win. They should easily roll into New England and beat them down. But I just feel like they're feeling themselves. I still think they get the dub. But that defense has been beatable through the air. I know Trayvon Diggs is, you don't throw to his side, period. Just don't do it, Mac. Just don't do it, Mac. Do not do it. It will, if Mac throws to Diggs, it will be a 7th interception of the season. But, Dallas has struggled on the road a little bit, and they are allowing, as we said, the second most passing yard this season to opposing quarterbacks. So this could be a chance for New England to sneak in there and make this one a little bit closer than it should be. I have a feeling that Belichick is going to try to get back on his defensive you-know-what to stop this Dallas offense. This is one that I just, minus 3.5. I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas wins by a field goal in this matchup, and they just get it done, right? They just have a little. We're riding high. We're riding high. You sleepwalk into this matchup versus the Patriots, who had to struggle to beat the Texans last week. This feels like a trap game for Dallas, but I'm still bullish on all of their weapons. Dalton Schultz, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, flip a coin as to which one is going to have a good game. And I do think we're going to continue to see a heavy dose of Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. Now, the Seattle Seahawks are at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Juju, we know he's out for the season. Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool both should be able to do whatever they want versus the Seattle defense. And I think Najee Harris is going to absolutely smash this week. 71.5 rushing yards for Harris. Seattle is without their captain, Russell Wilson. We know defensively, they can't stop anybody. They cannot stop anybody defensively. They're in the bottom 3 in both passing yards allowed and rushing yards allowed. Listen, over Najee Harris. I think that is a lock over Najee Harris in this matchup. Down one of those wide receivers. You've got 2 field stretching wideouts that the defense will have to respect, which means they cannot force the box, stack the box, and force Pittsburgh to just run the ball, or they'll get obliterated over the top. I think this is a soft line. Najee went over 100 yards for his first time in his career last week on the ground, and I think he continues that trend here versus Seattle at home.
Yeah, 100%. Najee, 71.5 rushing yards, went over 100 last week and went over 20 carries. And this week, he's only 18.5. I like both those numbers. I think that Pittsburgh found a formula last week that really, really worked. They did get up early, but I think that they're going to go back to Najee. They figured something out on offense. And with no Juju, you have the field stretchers still there. They're going to do their thing, and I think they're going to be great. No lines for them. But yeah, I love Najee at 71.5, and I love the 18.5 carries. I think it's basically a foregone conclusion. They need to give Najee 20 carries a game, or they're not going to win games. I think that's just how it's going to be. And against Seattle, man, Alexander Madison, I'm pretty sure, went off for like 100 yards on the ground and 60 yards through the air. So look at it like that. It's going to be a cakewalk for Najee this game, and Seattle's just terrible.
What do you think about DK with Geno Smith at the helm? Are you interested in DK or Tyler Lockett?
I'm a little bit interested in DK, and the main reason why is because his yards is only 61.5, which is very low for DK. DK is usually, in the 70 to 75 range, but of course he's playing with a backup quarterback. But a backup quarterback who did look his way down the field late in the game. And that's the only reason why I'm tempted to take a DK line. I probably won't this week. I probably want to see what happens. But just so people do know, the Tyler Lockett DK lines are going to be soft because they're not expecting Geno to throw the ball. But last week he did throw the ball and he looked pretty good. He kind of kept them in the game a little bit. Ultimately threw an interception at the end of the game, but that's what happens when you play against the Rams. You throw interceptions because that secondary is so good. But I do like DK to stretch the field. He's just one of those guys that is so talented, so dominant. There just isn't really a cornerback who can cover him completely. And so if you do throw it up to him, he's got a better than 50% chance of coming down with that ball. And I think Geno may take some shots knowing that he has nothing to lose because he's a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I don't hate DK Metcalf, but I don't know, man. I would bet I'd bet Najee. I like Najee on the carries, and I like Najee on the rushing yards. Last game, let's touch on real quick before we get out of here. Raiders versus the Broncos, and we know all the turmoil internally that the Raiders are going through. Is this going to impact them? This game just doesn't seem desirable at all. I would this week. I wouldn't touch the Raiders. I wouldn't touch them. No. I wouldn't touch any player prop. Carr, Waller, Ruggs. I'm staying away until I see what the hell Bisaccia's gonna do. I just don't want it. I don't want it. And Denver's favored by 3.5. I don't want that. The Raiders could come out there and galvanize as a team and go out there and boat race Denver, or they can just lay a complete egg and give up. I'm not touching it. I have minimal. You have it on the show sheet. Minimal interest in this game. But you did say we want to talk about Darren Waller and his disappearing act from week 1 till now. What has happened with Darren Waller?
I honestly can't put a finger on it. I haven't watched too many Raiders games, but it's just for some reason he's not getting targeted. And we talked earlier about Jalen Hurts and throwing to Devontae Smith. It's just Carr's not looking his way. And ever since he played against Derwin James, it's man, I don't know about this week. I don't think it's going to happen for him. But it's just, I don't know what to do. It's he's a great player. He deserves the targets. But ever since he played against, that week 1 game, he's never gone over 8 targets, never had more than 5 receptions, never had more than 65 yards, and only has 1 touchdown. And it was, I believe, 2 weeks ago, and it was in the end zone on a fade route. It was a great play, but it's why isn't he getting the ball? Henry Ruggs is getting the ball. Brian Edwards is kind of getting the ball, but it should be Darren Waller. Darren Waller deserves double digits every week. And I just can't explain it. I don't know if he's seeing top coverage. I don't know if he's being bracketed. It's just weird, man. They need this guy. And you think about even against the Dolphins, he didn't have a good game. The Dolphins give up yards to everybody. But Darren Waller didn't have a good game against the Dolphins. It's just, I can't really put my finger on it with Darren Waller and why he's not playing to that elite level. But nobody is. Kelsey's not playing that well. Waller's not playing that well. Kill's not playing that well. Pitts, stock up, man. He's going to be tight end 1 sooner than you think.
Hey, Pitts, Dawson Knox, Dalton Schultz, tight end. I mean, those, I would rather, those 3. Would you rather right now? Let's just talk season. This season, for the rest of the season. I'm not talking dynasty. I'm not talking long term. Do you have more faith in Dawson Knox or George Kittle?
Dawson Knox by a lot. Remember, I told you highest passer rating in the entire NFL.
Dalton Schultz or George Kittle? For the rest of the season.
Schultz. I'm taking Schultz. I can't trust Trey Lance. Come on.
Kyle Pitts or George Kittle?
Oh, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts looked great.
Any of those 3 or TJ Hawkinson?
Nah, Hawkins has been terrible. He hasn't been playing well either.
Dude, I mean,
it's a tight end position, man. Go trade for Dawson Knox. He is so good right now. People don't realize he is the highest passer rating player when targeted in all of the NFL. That's no accident. That's Josh Allen who loves him right now.
He's really good, man. All right, so real quick before we get out of here, my NFL locks for this week. I've got Jamar Chase over 68.5 yards, Davis Mills over 185.5 passing yards, Antonio Gibson over 60.5 rushing yards, and Najee Harris over 71.5 rushing yards. On the college side, I took the over on Bijan Robinson, the over on Sean Tucker, and the over on Garrett Schrader, the Syracuse quarterback who doesn't throw the ball. All he does is run the ball. I will check out the QB rushing lines, and we'll put out a graphic for that a little bit later on today or Saturday, at least before Sunday. I'll drop my quarterback rushing props of the week. But that's where I'm at this week. I'm really excited for the Baltimore Chargers game, and I'm hoping my Cowboys don't stumble versus the Patriots. That would be bad on all accounts if my boy Mac Jones took down the Dallas Cowboys. Jay, appreciate you, man. Another week in the books. Like, this is show like 50-something. Isn't this like our 50-something?
I think it's show 45. We'll have to do something for 50.
That's
50
crazy.
might be next Friday. So I think this is 45 or 46.
We
I'll have to
really
check
do
it,
this
but
shit every day. Like, do you realize that? Like, we do this every day. Every day.
every day.
It's dope, though. I
Oh,
enjoy
yeah.
it, man. I enjoy it, man. Thank you for all of your contributions to the show. Thank you to all the good people who tap in. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, Wake Up with Ray G. Go to Bets TV YouTube channel, subscribe there. FTN Fantasy, you can find me on the FTN Fantasy Happy Hour every Thursday with Brooke Cromer and Elliot Christ. Make sure you go to ftnfantasy.com, use the promo code ALLGAS to sign up, and then check my content out on my YouTube channel at RayGQ. We appreciate y'all waking up with us every single day. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy football this weekend, and we'll see y'all bright and early on Monday. Peace.